everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of JKL Media Reviews. And we're back with another review of The Expanse, Season 2, Episode 10, Cascade. And with me, as usual, are my wonderful co-hosts, Jesse.
Hello, I like chicken.
Yes, very good. And Karen.
Hello, I am not a fan of canned meat of any kind.
And I am Lou, and I love the ocean. So
That's for sure.
there we go. So we have another solid episode for this series, and two main storylines this time, and half the episode takes place on Earth, and the other half takes place on the Ganymede. Um, I'm gonna make us put this up for a vote, see if we get a tie or not. Which storyline, Jesse, would you like to talk about first?
All right, so I want to save the best for last. So Christian and Bobby would be
Okay.
the one I would wait for.
Okay.
That would be second for me,
All right.
because I think all the storylines on this episode were good. And to go off on a tangent because that's what we do, it's very rare on this series where I find myself feeling like this is filler.
Hmm.
Like every storyline seems to be pretty dense
Okay.
and important to like the foundation of the story.
Okay. Very good. Karen, I take it you're in agreement with Jesse?
Yeah, I'm good with talking about Earth first. I think it'll be a quicker discussion.
Oh, I think Jesse wants to save her till second.
Yeah.
Didn't you wanted to save the Earth thing till second?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I that
Um,
was my favorite part, hearing Christian and Bobby talk
well,
in the
I'm the other
discussions.
way around, but
Okay. Well,
that's
then
okay.
let's go right to
No,
dessert.
no,
No,
I'm okay with saving it till last. I'm
I
I'm
am
fine with that.
perfectly okay. Let's go right to dessert, Lou. Let's talk Earth, Earth, Earth.
Oh, now I'm in an awkward position. What should I do here? Should I
Let's talk
flip a
about Earth.
coin?
Yeah, let's talk about
Okay,
Earth.
Um,
let's talk about her. Um, all
I
right,
had the
so
same pun in my mind.
yeah, um, Earth. We have I'm gonna throw a bit of a curveball at you then, Jesse. We have a very interesting turn of events with the Aaron Wright character, in that he comes clean. And what did you think of that development?
So I think this is really smart writing. The reason why I say that is, normally your character is they keep digging themselves in deeper and deeper and deeper into the ditch. Like I don't know if any of you guys have had a car stuck in the mud and you keep spinning those wheels and it just keeps digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yep.
Um, and I at least go, okay, dude, you've got to just stop. You've got to just take the consequences of your actions, but at least stop yourself from sinking, right? So I liked that conversation. I liked him. Um, I think to me, the right amount of justification to himself and to Christian. Whereas he wasn't totally like she didn't catch him and he was all full of, oh no, I did this for Earth and I did this everything. Like one of the things in Breaking Bad that used to make Walter's wife mad is he would always say, I did everything I did for my family. And in that last episode, spoilers, he says, I did it for me. I did it because I was good at it and I was enjoyed it. And that made her so happy that he was finally honest with himself and her. So
Hmm.
I think he 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 gave reasons, not excuses. I thought it was a really powerful scene. Um, and she says you're going to have to pay, you're going to have to face the consequences. He's like, yeah, I understand, but what do we do now? So I love this conversation. I loved that, um, you know, we've been playing that she knows, and he thinks she knows, but they've kind of this dance, and having nice in the open is a really strong way to move the story forward, I think. Um, and and I do like when we aren't talking about it, but when Asher says it's just kind of cool to be working for the good guys,
Co-tier
you know?
for you non-Spartans.
OTA.
Yeah. I mean, that was just really cool
Yeah,
that he was doing that. So
yeah.
yeah, I
That was my favorite moment, actually, when he
yeah,
said that.
yeah. And we have all disliked Enright,
Hmm.
and I don't know if I like him any better totally, but I at least for this episode I went, good for you. You at least are trying to say, okay, what do I do? And I don't know if he'll ever totally be an ally, but I think we're in for a very interesting story twist with them.
Hmm. Karen.
Okay, unlike Jesse, I don't think he had any clue that Christian knew it was on to him. Um, and I think when he realizes how stupid he is, when he confesses to her, he's like, "You knew." That's when I feel like it was a bit of a comeuppance for him in that moment. And, there's more to come, obviously. He also isn't completely honest with her. He says he did it for Earth. He did it to put money in his pocket. I mean, I think that's the main issue for him. And uh, of course, if Earth benefits, great. But I do think he was in it for himself. And that's a great analogy you used about Breaking Bad, Jesse. He did do it for himself. And Earth was a close second. Uh, I think Mao is definitely in it for himself. He sees a money-making opportunity. And, he's a megalomaniac and like a lot of rich people are. And I I'm not I don't like him any more than I did in the last episode, Aaron Wright.
Yeah.
But the fact that he came clean to her, at least giving her the information she needs to go after these people, I feel like, well, good for you. But it is a little late. He's technically responsible for the death of millions of people um, on the first place.
Arrows.
No, the first one as well, where they tested it.
Oh, the
The
Phoebe.
other
Was it Phoebe?
Phoebe. Thank you,
Yeah.
Phoebe Station.
Or
So,
Phobos.
I mean, he was in it with Mao from the beginning, so he's responsible for those deaths. He's responsible for Eros. And any of the people, like people died trying to stop Eros. So like anyone that was involved with that, anyone who's been affected, and also now Ganymede, whoever died on Ganymede, he is partially responsible for. So he needs to atone for those. I like that Christian didn't mince words, said you're gonna have to pay the price for this. And he does admit, yeah, I get it. That's treason. Treason is punishable by death in the United States. Um, so, I mean, it hasn't been enforced in a very long time, but uh,
But he's
it's a
with the
series.
UN, so I don't know if those rules apply here.
Eh, I, I assume that it's punishable by something very harsh.
Yes, but
It
death, I
is,
don't know.
yeah, it is a it's probably one of the most serious crimes when you're talking about governmental issues.
Hmm.
And he's gonna have to face the music for that. I also really loved when Cotillard kind of chuckled at Christian saying, "Well, we need him alive more than he needs to atone." And he's like, "Oh man, it's very interesting to be working for the good guys," which shows, he definitely did some things in his past, but I do think he's enjoying being on the right side of history here. And it also showed, you know, when Christian first hired him, he was very pessimistic about things that were going to happen. And I think he and Christian have developed a better relationship. And now him saying, I'm working for the good guys, maybe he has a bit of a better outlook on things. I don't know whether you guys feel that way or not, but I do feel like they're uh having a bit of a friendship. They bonded a little bit.
So, a couple of things, and then I want to hear your thoughts, Lou. I think I think he lied. I think he has justified to himself he is doing this for Earth. I
Sure.
think that, and I think in his mind,
That's his rationale for
yeah,
sure.
that's his
Mm.
rationale.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think that, and you wonder, you know, you would like to think in the future that capital punishment is not something that we do anymore. But yeah, you aren't sure. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, you could, he could be sent to quote unquote Australia, right? Banned and and sent to the colonies.
Botany
Uh,
Bay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I love this thought. Lou, you've asked us, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I have two things that struck me about this one. I'll go to the co-tier Asher moment. I I thought that the scene up until that point had been a bit of a surprise and pretty good, but that line from co-tier, like it feels weird working for the good guys, just really just put a bow on it that elevated that whole scene for me. And even like Christian's smile after he said that, was just a lovely bow in that scene, and it just I think that by this point in the series, uh, a lot of people, maybe even you, Jesse, as opinions of Christian have kind of come around quite a bit. Just
Yeah.
because she is pursuing she's actually still doing the same things that she was doing in the beginning of the series. It's just that the events have made her position more palatable, I guess, to the
Yeah.
audience. So it's funny how situational character behavior is so contextual. Um,
Yes.
and that's one of the things that always drives me nuts about when you get into like if you're watching the news or political commentary shows, that there's always this whataboutism that goes on, and it's like you can't compare A to B. They happened in different places, different times, different people, different contexts. So you can't just throw um, whatabouts against whatever you're talking about and try and because it's a false equivalence, and uh, I think that that's what this scene sort of brings out in me. And the other thing that it brings out in me is Aaron Wright as a person. He's obviously in a very powerful position. He's obviously got to where he was because he's not a dummy. But
Right.
as smart as he thinks he is, and to Karen's point, I don't think he knew that Christian knew about what he was doing. He's a guy that thinks he's better or smarter than everybody else. But then you've got this whole other level of character, like Christian is above him, and he doesn't even realize that, or because of his outlook on life or whatever, he looks down on her actually. But in that scene, he realizes that she's above him. Like, and I guess think about in real world situations where you've got so many layers of people of power levels of people, and there's people at the top that think they're smarter than other people, but then there's people underneath them that are really pulling the strings, and it just really scares me.
Mm-hmm.
So like and I think that the scene, and maybe it's again, it's contextual to me because of the times that we live in. I think that this speaks to a lot of things that are going on in the world that have always gone in the world with, the people that are at the top. And this is just a this microcosm of scenes to me speaks to a lot much broader issue of power and responsibility than it probably warrants, but it's just how it comes across to me. So I don't
I feel
know.
like at that point, he realizes, what was I doing?
Hmm.
Because she knew.
Yeah,
What was I even thinking?
yeah,
I'm assuming like his heart sank in that moment when he realizes, I'm being an idiot. Why was I even doing this with Mal? Um, and
it's got to be a
I
shock to their ego, right?
yeah, yeah.
Then
I'm
you start
assuming
questioning everything.
he gets knocked down and he knows it at
Yep,
that point.
yep,
And giving her the stuff is the least he could do in that moment. I agree with you, Jesse. Thinking about it, I do think he was fooling himself into thinking he was doing it for the right reasons. But again, if he was honest and really thought about it, he would know what his motivations were. It's there under the surface. So, but in that moment, yeah, he thought he was telling her the truth. Christian is so many steps ahead of him. And I don't think he even knows that. I like that she pulled out of her pocket that he was complicit in the death of her friend. Even that, hey, I didn't have anything to do with that. Well, you covered it up. Yeah,
yep,
okay.
yep.
So she, he realizes that she is so far ahead of him that now it's going to take a minute for him to absorb all that, I feel like. And I do think at this moment, he thinks he's done like a good thing, but now he's back in his quarters or whatever house, thinking to himself, okay, when are they coming to get me? When is the other shoe going to drop? In real life, he would be like going to Venezuela or something, right? He would
Hmm.
be fleeing. But I'm assuming he does actually have more in the story. I mean, that would be stupid if he if he did that in the show, but in real life they'd flee. Um, I just at this moment he is wondering how far in the grave he is, right? He's really thinking about it.
Hmm.
Well, how much does she know? So, yeah, I think there's a lot of introspection going on.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think to a certain degree, this is um there's always a lot of complexity in this show. And this yes, I think he's worried, but the she will now use him, and so I'm thinking, you know, s sometimes you can have a really great redemption story, right? I'm thinking of Farscape,
Sure.
in
Yeah.
Crisis, right?
Craze.
Yeah, Grace, where you went from, oh, this is the guy we absolutely hate, to ending up, uh, going, oh, wow, he actually has, you know, changed his mind. I'm also thinking of Babylon 5, right, where the warrior cast ends up going into the sun and changing his mind, saying I was born warrior caste, but I choose to be religious caste, and he has this redemption arc. So I don't know if we're going to get this with this guy, but I think we have the potential, and I'm all along for the ride.
Very good. Geez, who knew such a little scene was going to generate so much conversation, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so now let's turn to the Bobby storyline. And uh, Karen, I'll start with you. Well, I think it plays out pretty straightforward. So it's a bit of a journey for Bobby, and I think the end result was pretty interesting. So what are your thoughts on it all?
I guess literally a journey.
Hmm.
Um, my heart sank when she jumped out of that window because I knew it wasn't going to be easy for her. The dude that, um, her captain or whatever right now, who's overseeing the delegation,
Captain
reminded her,
Martins. Yeah.
thank you, reminded her, hey, you don't walk very well. We can't let you out. Um, And so I just had a feeling that that wasn't going to go well. They're on a slope and all that. I'm just glad it was a not a skyscraper because that would have been terrible. Um, so she starts her journey very rocky and it does get better. I really enjoyed her chat with the homeless man, like I
Wannabe
guess,
doctor.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Um, the kind of her prophet in that moment, right? She gets the story of the fact that, hey, it's not all sunshine and roses here on Earth. In fact, it's pretty bad. And I think that was enlightening for her because, they're taught that Earthers have everything, they take everything for granted. And now she sees, well, not everyone does. Um, so she gives over her pills and he shows her the right way. Uh, did you guys know? I mean, did you know, Jesse, that the dude was going to disappear when her head was up?
Uh, no, I wasn't. I
Oh,
did
okay.
not see that. I kept waiting for something bad to happen.
Right. For him to like
Yeah.
pickpocket her or something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I had that thought and then I thought, well, he's not going to be there when she looks over.
Okay.
But I do love that she does get to like put her feet in the sand. And it's very symbolic, that little journey where
Yeah.
she's getting to do things that, they've only dreamed of on Mars. And uh, I was a little taken aback when Christian shows up and she thinks it's a plot.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted her to at least say to her, yeah, this is what I saw, and I'll give you information. I still don't trust you, but I'll give you information because now she's been taken back by her delegation. Christian's not there. I'm hoping that that gets resolved in a good way. I loved the scene between Christian and Bobby on the beach. She admits, yeah, we do take things for granted. Um, but I believe you, and we can't afford to be at each other's throats anymore. And Bobby, I think she heard it, but that conditioning is stopping her from going with it. Um, I would like to see something happen with that. That maybe they do something that enforces her belief that she should do the right thing. Um, so yeah, I really loved her and going through that little like I guess like a bazaar type place where people are cooking and selling stuff and bartering and all that. That was interesting. She sees slums, and I'm guessing they don't have those on Mars. Uh, they have a very regimented society on Mars, and they may not have as much as they want, but they definitely have more than these people do. So, I feel like it was very enlightening for her, and also she gets to fulfill a wish that she's had that, she gets to see the sky without a dome and she gets to put her feet in the sand and see the ocean. It was beautiful. So,
Hmm. Jesse.
Yeah, I loved the scene. I Bobby being so stubborn to figure out how to take, to open the window. You see all the things that she's broken as she tries to do this.
Hmm.
I did think, oh, thank goodness, the different slanted roofs broke her fall.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right? Like, oh, boop, boop, boop. Almost did look like a Warner Brothers cartoon. Uh, and um, and it is uh, I'm not sure where the UN is located. Do we know?
It's New York, I think.
Yeah. That's the same spot
Okay.
as today.
Okay. So yeah, so there it is not a like it isn't the Jersey Shore beaches or Florida beaches,
Hmm.
right? You just got this. Um, and I thought it was right on spot that um, Mars thinks of once again to go back to um Ireland would not trust England ever back in the day, right? Like they would choose the devil themselves. They would choose, you know, anyone besides England. So I could see Bobby not, I don't care if this does confirm her beliefs. She can't admit, she doesn't want to admit that perhaps, you know, it, that her country, her planet is lying to her and she's involved. So I thought that was a really complicated scene. I like the fact that, you know, Christian said, we've only got a couple of minutes. Here's what I want you to know. Here's what you're seeing. And just a lot of information to give her. Um, and like, what are you talking about? Right?
Hmm.
Because just seeing is not necessarily believing. And this, okay, I did see someone without a spaceship. Uh,
Suit.
yeah, yeah, without a suit. So I love this feeling. And yeah, that was a great scene of her taking her shoes off and feeling the sand and the water. Um, I was a little surprised she didn't just get into the full water either,
Hmm.
right?
Mm,
To
yeah.
just to float in the ocean. To see that maybe it was just too much, or maybe they didn't want to have that scene where now she's soaking wet,
Hmm.
and film it.
Yep.
But we've this is the second or third time these characters interact, and I hope they get to interact a lot more. Um, Christian is not perfect. I have had my concerns with her, but she is always a fascinating character to watch.
Yep.
And yes, and as you predicted, she says, I know Jesse's going to love Bobby. I do. I love her
Mm,
drive. I love her, uh, you know, her compassion and patriotism for her country slash world. And, it's just a great character.
Yeah. She's she's a very grounded character, and what you see is what you get with her. Whereas with a lot like Christian and them, there's so many onion layers to those characters that you really have to spend a lot of time with them to get a good grasp of them. But Bobby's pretty straightforward. I do love how the show foreshadows things and ties things together because we've seen in previous episode Bobby kept on opening the windows or unopaquing them or clearing
Yeah.
them so she could get used to looking outside. And uh, then the final piece that gets her out of her room is her medal. So I thought that was a very nice touch.
Yes.
And I did have to kind of chuckle like you, as that the slanted roofs were very convenient for her to fall down.
hmm.
Yes.
But that worked out well. I mean, still, she's lucky she didn't break her bones. Like
Yeah.
Hmm.
that was quite the fall. But and it was funny that she fell because the bird flew by her, and then she lost it
Hmm.
because she was just sort of holding on to her equilibrium. But once that bird seagull flew right by her, and that totally threw her off, which is understandable. And then her journey through the bazaar, uh, and whatnot to get to the ocean and seeing, the way that all these people are living. And there was a nice mix of the old, culture of these types of bazaars where people are cooking with pots and that. But then a lot of them had like digital displays and stuff around them like that. That was pretty cool. And then she meets that guy that's, got mental issues, and then the Nico, I think it was Nico was his name, shows up and
Nico,
says,
yeah.
yeah, says he doesn't have his medication. And then the statement that he just made about yeah, I put my application in to be a doctor at 17 and I'm 52 now and I'm still waiting. Like that just, that's kind of is that like what's it's going to be for next the generations of people on
Yeah.
Earth with AI? Because they're already talking about AI taking away a lot of jobs in that. So
Yes.
that and this is we're going back to what when did this air in the 26 15 16 era, so like 2017. So this is foreshadowing something that's becoming more and more relevant in today's world and at a quicker pace than people are th thought, because I think I was watching Bill Maher said, like, he said, I thought this was something that our children's children would have to deal with. He says, but now I think it's going to happen in my lifetime. So, this is just how rapidly the whole AI thing is going on. And the that is it's such a weird topic because it's like we're all sitting here as people we all know that AI is not going to be totally good for everybody, yet we're still rushing towards getting to implementing it, which is kind of like do we have a Earth a racial death wish? I don't know. Like it's very that Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times, and I think these are way too interesting for my liking.
Well,
So
when money rules the world, that's the price you
well, yeah,
pay.
when the billionaires,
Yep.
the 1%, um,
Yep.
yeah, for sure. The other thing I want to mention, I love the shot composition of the pipe with the grate opening out into the oceans, because that, to me, and maybe I'm reading it too much into it, but it's a symbology of Bobby coming from a world where you live in enclosed environments, and then to see her out just outside of that, sitting at the edge of the ocean is, I just thought that was a beautiful, those shots were
Hmm.
just beautifully done. So I really enjoyed that. And
And to build on that, at the end, when the people from Mars are coming after her,
yeah,
they're inside the
the
tunnel
pipes.
and
Yeah,
in darkness,
yeah,
and it shows how menacing they are compared to her. She's out in the sunlight,
vulnerable.
basking in the
Yeah,
sun,
open
her
and
feet in the
vulnerable. Yeah,
sand. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and
Very cinematic.
yeah, and it was a bit jarring for Christian to bring up this new conspiracy about this, new project that they believe is being funded by the Mars. Um, so that's that will be interesting to see how that plays out, because well, obviously Christian's got her goals, but I think that was the worst time that she could have come to Bobby and presented that to her, because Bobby's just trying to absorb all this Earth experience that she's just gone through, and just be sitting there looking at the ocean like that. That's like that's like coming up to somebody that's just had like the best day of their life or something like that, and then say, "Oh, here you have to fill out your tax forms." It's kind of like, it
Yeah.
just the two just don't go together. But
But she didn't have
time,
unlimited time
exactly,
to,
yeah.
yeah.
And this is the unfortunate reality of life, that you can't always let people live in the moment. The things that are driving us force us to step on other people's toes, I guess you could say, and because we're driven by these priorities, and that it's kind of like that moment in Lost, where everybody in the last season, I think they're all running around trying to get to all these places, and they come across the old couple, and they're just kind of off on the side, living in their cabin, and saying, "Oh, you guys go do what you want to do. Got to do is we're just gonna chill here and relax and enjoy the moment." So that kind of reminds me of that. Um,
Rose and Bernard.
Rose and Bernard, very good.
Thank you. I
Wow, I
was
can't.
so I was so into Lost.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm. That
All
good
right.
good
So
callback. Yes.
yes, so that's all the Earth stuff. Is there anything else about Earth that either of you want to mention that we haven't talked about?
Now,
All good?
No,
All right.
just love Cotillard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I turned to my husband and I said,
Sure.
"Is it okay for me to like that guy?"
Yeah. Then you should watch Spartacus season 3 or the new
Mm,
season of
probably.
Spartacus because he's the lead
He's
character,
he's
Yeah.
great.
Asher.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Did you watch the original Spartacus?
Yes.
Me? No.
Oh,
It
No.
yeah, Karen, it's like my friend Sam is a snob. And he goes to
hi, Sam.
see
Nothing
all
personal.
the
Hi,
yeah,
Sam.
he goes to like loves live theater and goes, is a
Mm,
you know subscribes to Shakespeare, the
Goes to the
society and
opera,
parts and
the
well, not
symphony,
opera, but yeah.
ballet.
But he just loves Shakespeare and plays.
Oh, okay.
And he said that when we started the original Spartacus, we joked about its blood and gore and boobies. So a 12-year-old boy would be thrilled. And,
hmm
and the more we watched it, Sam's like, there is this cadence in
Language.
their language
Yep.
that is a little based on Latin.
Hmm.
And
mm,
so, like, they never say thank you, they say gratitude.
hmm
Yeah.
And so, once you get used to the language, there's a poetry to it.
Yep.
So, I think it's a pretty good show. And if you like that actor, the House of Asher, this would be, I think it'd be a fun show for you to watch. I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah,
very woman pro power too. So,
Is it?
yeah,
yep.
yeah,
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Okay. So let's turn to um, a little bit of comic relief, I guess, was the Alex se sequence in the Rocinante. He's all by
Oh
himself.
man, that was so great.
So there was a great shot, gravity shot of him that was fun. So, Karen, your thoughts on what Alex was up to?
Man, I like him. And seeing that scene really says a lot. Uh, he's drunk, right? Drinking, I guess, the equivalent of beer, whatever that is. And it's the thing where, hey, if I was in low gravity, what would I do? And he does the coolest thing where he kind of calculates where the drops of the beer would be. And so he floats a little bit, then reactivates his boots, and there he is, and he drinks the last of his beer. Fantastic. Listening to I'm So Lonely I Could Cry. Um, Again, great song. And it really typifies where he is. He's in the ship all by himself, kind of wallowing. Um, and then, he gets the alert that it would be very hard for him to pick up the guys, right? That they won't be able to leave Ganymede. And he sobers up real quick at that point. But man, I loved those scenes. He is such a great character. You can tell a lot about him just from that little non-speaking, non-verbal
Yeah.
scene where he's just singing along to the radio, but it conveys a lot of stuff.
All right. Jesse.
First off, um, the the music of Hank Williams will live forever,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's
right?
good to know,
Mars
right?
has crappy music apparently, so.
Yeah.
Uh, I love that. Um, I I went through a spell when I watched the PBS special Ken Burns did on country music,
Mm-hmm.
and they talked about that. Mu Other musicians were talking about songs that Hank Williams, Chris Christopherson, Tom T. Hall, and others, Willie Nelson wrote, and they talked about that song especially is just there is so much in there. So um, it was just really cool to see that. And yes, the kind of the same way you throw uh I can't do it, but you throw popcorn in the air and then catch it,
Hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it it was just a really beautiful scene. And then, this uh basically right, OF when this is
Mm-hmm.
happening, and you're right, sobers up very quickly, and now what do I do? Really fun little cliffhanger. But yeah, I just it is it is not often you get current music. I mean, they'll use music in a soundtrack,
Hmm.
but and I realize a song from Hank Williams would should not be considered modern music, but in relatively speaking, it is. It is
Yeah.
20th century music and 20th century country music. I just love that. I thought the scene was great and the song was absolutely great. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I never even clued into the fact that that was Hank Williams.
Well,
Mm.
it wasn't
Yeah.
Hank singing it, but it's a
Oh,
Right.
it's a
It's
cover of
his
a Hank
song.
Williams song.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, in a certain way, it seems like a weird scene to show what that Alex is doing like that because he's been so wound up with his personal stuff with his family and that. So it's kind of nice to see him letting loose. But I appreciated the gravity shot, especially when he rotated 360. That reminded me of the shots from 2001 Space Odyssey when the
Mm.
stewardess is walking up the wall with her Velcro boots or whatever to get to the next level. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then, of course, as Karen mentioned, we do find out that Ganymede is now under lockdown or blockade. So that is going to make his rescue of them that much more difficult. Alrighty, so
Can I
then,
ask you a question about
sure.
that? Does Ganymede know that they're on
Uh,
lockdown?
I would
Because
assume
that
so because
came
that was
from,
because it was broadcast by Mars, so it was over
okay,
because he just got it as a public,
okay.
so it's like a
I just wondered if it was
emergency
a
channel thing that
out in
everybody.
space thing or
No,
a, okay,
I think it was just a general
okay,
um
cool.
broadcast for
Thank
everybody.
you.
So, yep.
And by the way, just because I'm a nerd, Rolling Stone ranked I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry as 111th on their list of 500 greatest songs of all times.
Wow.
It is the oldest song on the list, and Rolling Stone ranks it number 3 on its greatest country songs
Mm,
of all
Mm.
time.
yeah.
So
Just out of
uh,
curiosity, what's one and two?
I do not know. It didn't
Okay.
mention this on
Oh,
the
okay.
thing, but yeah, it in this, believe it or not, was a B side.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There
The
you
A
go.
side was like my bucket's got a hole in it, uh, which is you never know. Yeah, so this is yeah, it is absolutely worth going to see. If going to hear if someone if you've not heard the whole song, go listen. And there is everyone from Willie Nelson, Leon Russell, Everly Brothers, Jerry Lee Lewis, Al Green have done a cover of it. So you
Wow.
can find whatever you want, the cover of it. There is a video.
Okay.
Um, Respect from Aretha Franklin
That's
Yeah.
country and
is
western?
number one. Number
Oh,
one.
oh,
On
okay.
Uh,
country?
and Fight the Power. No, not country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Those are the first two from there
Okay.
on the main one.
Alrighty. Okay, so then finally we get to Ganymede, and what the show does quite often is it pairs unlikely characters. On Earth, we're getting the Christian Bobby pairing, and
Mhm.
here on Ganymede, we're getting the Ming uh, Amos pairing. Uh,
If you could stop just a
yes.
moment. Number one, Walk the Line by Johnny Cash. Two,
Yep.
Okay.
Crazy by Patsy Cline.
Oh,
Three,
yeah.
I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry.
Wow.
He Stopped Loving Her Today. Number four, George Jones. Standing on the Corner, Blue Yodel number nine, Jimmy Rogers, which I do not know. Six, Stand by Your Man by Tammy Wynette.
Stand
Seven, You
by
Don't Know
your
Me by Ray
man.
Charles. Eight, Mama Tried, Merle Haggard.
Ray
Nine,
Charles is country and
Jolene.
western?
Yes, yeah, all modern sounds of country music.
Mm.
They talked about this that when he first had control of his, when he signed a new record deal and he had control, he wanted to make a country album in modern sounds in country and Western music, where he covers different country music songs. It's an absolutely beautiful album. And rounding up 10 is Mama Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys, Willie Nelson and uh, Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. So there you go.
All great songs.
Yes.
Oh,
So thank you.
one of our wildest tangents ever, I would say. But
Yes. This point in musical history was brought to you by
yeah,
Set Lusting Bruce.
and
And
uh,
Rolling Stone magazine.
Yes.
it's just to go a little further with this because there's two types of music that I really don't care for. One is opera, and the second is country and western. So it's funny that you mentioned all those songs because most of the songs I have heard and I do like. So,
Yeah,
Hmm.
a good song is a good song regardless of genre. So there you
Yeah,
absolutely.
go.
All right.
Anyhow, back to
agreed.
All right.
Ganymede and
Yes.
our
I I like
odd couple
old
pairings.
country, by the way.
Yes.
Yes.
Old country is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
take on it.
All
Okay,
right.
Uh,
sorry.
so our odd
So
couple pairing this time is Amos and Ming, and we'll just run through this. There's a lot of uh, is there parallels between what they're going through here and what Bobby's going on Earth? Maybe, maybe not. I'll leave that for you two to decide. So, Jesse, what were your thoughts on what was going on Ganymede?
so Ganymede reminds me a little bit of Earth in that there are many scientists who believe, not to be a downer, that with climate warming and the crisis, it's already too late to save this planet. That we are past the point, and when it ends with this station's already dead, we just don't even, they just don't realize it yet. And you realize that this is one of the biggest producer of food for the universe, like this as we speak, for Earth, for Mars, for everyone. Um, you know, I, I I also thought the scene of we we've got to hit our targets, we've got to hit our goals, so we're going to let everyone here starve, but we're going to send out shipments of food instead of taking our care of ourselves first, struck me. Um, yeah, this was, they have had that natural, quote unquote, they've been attacked. It's not a natural disaster, but they have had this attack. They are trying to recover from it. There's not enough resources. There is permanent damage to the biosphere, and they're just in a bad place. So I thought that was a great setting for this story. Um, Amos being Amos, Jane, like protecting him, but at the same time, are you like, how many people have you killed? I don't know. Like, what's it matter? I kill people who need killing.
Right.
Um, and this the line that struck me the most is Naomi saying, Holden, every time we, and I'm not getting it perfect, but every time we cross the line, it gets easier to cross the line, is it?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I would have stopped him before it got too bad.
Yeah.
And her, we're losing our souls every little bit. Uh, and yeah, her point is she understands we have to do this, but she also at the same time, so yeah, I loved this storyline. The able to find them, the guy that their judgment of him, the guy in the Chicken Man, I'm calling him, right?
Roma.
Yeah,
Roma.
who blew up Philly last night.
Mm.
He he has food that he could give to people, and he could, people are starving, but it's like no, and you see the ugly side of capitalism on that. I just thought it was a really interesting storyline. And, oh yeah, I'm going to do it pro bono. And it took a while for us to get the answers of what's the next step, but I didn't feel like this was spinning the tires. As we said, I feel
Okay.
like they were moving the story.
Okay. Karen?
Yeah, I do think it has a bit of a parallel in that, like Earth is dead, they just don't know it yet. That's kind of a parallel because the climate has made it so, people can't get jobs. The oceans are full of crap. You know, it's a dying, okay, the world's not dying. This is something that George Carlin said that I think of all the time is the earth will live on. It's people that are dying.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that society is dying, and Ganymede will continue to spin and rotate and orbit. It's just the people on it will be gone. The plant life, all of that will be gone. So, he says they're dead, but they don't know it yet, and it's a profound statement, but it's also this thing where we think we're the highest form of life, and while that might be true, we're still pretty dumb in certain ways. And that's shown by like the people eating the plants that won't help them. They're
Hmm.
Yeah.
eating the plants that clean the air. And they're just so desperate to continue with their life that they're doing stuff that's counterintuitive. Um, Roma, a very entertaining character, uh, bartering, and we know some of the things he's bartering for. He prefers chicken, but we can see that I'm assuming, bartered for sex with the woman that leaves his room at the beginning of them
Yeah.
finding him. And he's got everything there. I mean, it's not just chicken that he has. He's taking everything and he's putting the people that don't bring him chicken at the end of the line, which means he's not going to help those people most likely. Um, but he's taking whatever they have. And so he's stockpiling all this stuff. It reminds me of Sawyer on Lost while we're talking about Lost.
Very
Um,
good.
he had
Yes.
all kinds of stuff in his
Yeah.
little hut
Yeah.
that he wasn't sharing, and he was on quite a journey in that show. I don't think we'll be seeing this dude for very long. What Naomi says, and you paraphrase, but it's every shitty thing we do makes the next one that much easier. Um, and I agree, but I also see that they had to do that in order to get Roma to help him. Um, that he wasn't going to help him. He's corrupt. He's in it for himself. A lot of the people on the show are in it for themselves. And I think Amos knew that's what they needed to do. And we're seeing that Holden, and she makes a point that we're also seeing Holden is becoming more numb to that, to violence, to death, to all that stuff. I also liked when he's talking to Prax, Amos and Prax are talking, and he said, Prax says, "How many people have you killed?" And he says, "I don't know." Um, he can't change that.
So,
So it's gone from his mind. Those people are dead already. Uh, and for the most part, I'm okay with it. The people that I killed deserved it. So, uh, Prax doesn't get that, obviously, but Amos is just being honest with him and saying, I don't know. And Prax is horrified by that, but he understands that Amos is there to help him. And then the conversation they have about Cascade near the end of the episode was very enlightening that Amos understands what he's saying. So he's no dummy. Um, he gets the point of this scientist's thought. And that also says a lot about him. He's not just muscle, hired muscle. He's 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 a person that has thoughts and feelings for the most part. I mean, I'm still wondering if he had that procedure done and it just wasn't 100% effective because he still feels things, obviously. Um, and then the speech he had talking about Roma, where he explains this dude is, he's prostituting women and profiting from it when they have kids. He's going to use them as well, and it shows, that obviously that happened to him. So we're getting more of his backstory, and um, I do appreciate that his head is on straight, but I'm still like, this guy is pretty ruthless. And he's kind of, if I was his mother, I would say, you're a bad influence on Holden. He is he is not helping Holden to hold on to his humanity. I hope that Naomi is there to ground Holden, but I also see that it was a necessary evil, what they did to Roma. And Roma has now given them this insight into where the kids may be. I thought the guy with the other child, I can't remember his name, but the guy
Right.
who
Yeah.
who Dex Prax,
Yeah.
um, that was an interesting interchange that, Prax is very centered and he's grieving for whatever might have happened, but he's also very prosaic. And this dude is just off the deep end, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Basia, I believe is his name.
Basha, right?
Basia. Yeah.
He it shows the difference between the two men, and hopefully, they'll be able to reunite him with his daughter. Uh, and it's interesting to note that his daughter isn't the only one with this condition, that now we know that there's at least two children with this condition. So I'm assuming that has something to do with development of this protomolecule. So we'll see where that goes as well. Lots of
Oh,
things happening with
interesting
his,
that you mentioned that. I was just going to ask if you're feeling any dread about that
very much
storyline.
so.
Okay.
Very much so.
So,
Strickland is definitely the one of the bad guys in this, I'm assuming.
Hmm.
so Lou, I have a question for you. Do the
Okay.
Cowboys suck or what? Um, the
Yes.
see earlier episodes why that joke works. Um, Often you see things from a very different perspective being Canadian
Oh,
compared to us being
oh, better be on my best
US.
behavior now.
No, so um, both Karen and I are like, yeah, that's what he had to do. Um, you know, sometimes the end justifies the means, and often you find fault with that.
Hmm.
You sometimes thinks people can be there is no redemption arc available.
Mm.
So on this, and it's a very small example, but what is your feelings about them attacking the guy and forcing them to help them?
Ooh, in a ideal world, I would always prefer a nonviolent approach to a problem. However, in this type of situation, when you could sort of say that there's a clock ticking, you know, you can't always play nice. And the guy that they're um, beating up on is not a nice person, so it makes it more palatable to me how they approached it. But
Yeah,
I'm idealistic enough. My ideals are that these types of confrontations should not happen. Um, but the realist in me realizes that there's bad people out there, and you're never going to get anywhere with a velvet glove with those kind of people. So it's I don't think that there's any I don't think a Canadian would view that situation any different than an
okay.
American or anybody else in the world for that matter. I think you realize that there's just certain people that are just takers, and the only way that you can make an impression on them is to take something away from them, whether it's their life or their freedom or whatever. But yeah, you just have to deal with those people. Um, Now you could argue how much violence was inflicted upon the person. I think one hit might have been enough. I think Amos probably hit him a couple times too many, but that's kind of like we're splitting hairs a little bit too, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Okay.
but I think that I do like the pairing of Amos and Prax in these episodes because they're from such different backgrounds, and that's where you get all the interesting conversations. It's a little. It must be it must have been a challenge for the writers f to do these types of scenarios with Amos because he's such a uh, pragmatic, uh, detached kind of character. So it makes it more difficult to get into, behind the mask with that guy. So, uh, and Prax is a, he's really just he's just a dude that just wants to be with plants. Like he's not, he doesn't
Yeah.
have any big aspirations or anything. And he realizes his failings as a father, right? Like his daughter's got this condition, and he can't provide the support that the emotional support that she needs, and that was something that was her mother was better at. But he's also got enough sense of responsibility that he's still there for her. So it's interesting that it's this to see these two characters. It's this nature versus nurture sort of dynamic playing out for how they both are and the way that they act. And uh, like the whole Rocinante crew, they're on these holy missions to do what they feel is necessary and right. And you've got characters like Prax, they're just like, and other characters on Ganymede, they're just trying to build a home. They just want to, provide for their family. Their goals are very simple, and it's the contrast between the two that is, I think the show does a good job of touching base upon all the time. So it's it's uh, it's a good character studies. I think the most chilling moment of all the scenes in there is when you know Prax was looking at the water tubes and saying it's distilled water, and he says Ganymede's dead. It just doesn't know it yet. Like
Yeah.
that's just really chilling, right? So yeah,
I also very much appreciate that they're not doing the technobabble thing.
yeah,
They're grounding everything in real world situations. Cascade is a thing.
yeah,
Um, Coming from a computer science background, it's something we learn about when it comes to systems failing,
yeah.
that one little thing can cause the whole system to fail. Um, and it's great that they do that, although sometimes when technobabble is a thing, I feel smart that
Mhm.
I understand the gist of what they're doing. But in this case, I think it's cool, and it does show that Amos is grounded, even though he is this polarizing character. So I like that kind of thing he had with Alex as well. Although, that's an up and down thing. So, he and Prax, I think they're not different sides of the same coin. Prax is a completely different animal from Amos, but at that point they understood what was going on at the same time. So it's an interesting dynamic between the two of them.
Hmm. Yeah. And the leads to the setup for the next episode, which is Here There Be Dragons.
Dragons.
So that will
Hmm.
be an interesting episode, and I believe that Karen is
It's
the
my
lead.
turn.
It's
Yep.
your turn to lead that. Is
Hmm.
that right? Is it you
Yep.
for
It's my turn.
next week? Yes, Karen. Yeah. So that that is our episode discussion for Cascade. I'll just go once around the table for last thoughts. Jesse, anything else you wanted to add?
No, I once again really good episode, a interesting story. Curious where we're gonna go next. And kind of I'm glad we're here for the ride.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is this show is proving that once the genie is out of the bottle or the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's very hard to put it back. So this whole revelation that there's this another proto-molecule thing going on is not really that surprising. So
Yeah.
Alarming, but not surprising.
yeah, Karen,
Yeah.
anything else?
No, I just really liked this episode. I got where it was going
Hmm.
and some
Yeah,
interesting developments.
I
Cool.
agree.
All right. So do we want to rate this, Karen?
Sure. I'll give it 8.5 droplets of beer.
Mm.
Ooh. Well, I'm gonna go 8.5 Hank Williams songs.
Nice.
All right, then I'll be consistent there and I'll give it 8.5
360.
uh mock chickens.
Okay,
Ah,
there
nice.
you go.
I thought for sure that one of you guys was going to grab that because you mentioned it
Mm-mm.
off the top, but there we go. So again, it's the interesting trend of how we consistently rate these episodes pretty highly, like 8.5. Um, and you have to leave some wiggle room because there are some really fantastic episodes coming up that will, I believe, will rate higher for all of us. So anyhow, it's good to see. Uh, like I told both Jesse and Karen that Jesse's probably really going to like Bobby and Karen's really going to like Drummer. And the problem is that it takes a while before you get to that point where you can understand why I told you that. And it's starting to come for Bobby. Drummer is going to take a bit longer for Karen. So, but I'm still hopeful that prediction will turn to be
I
true.
already like her, and I
Yeah,
love Bobby.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there you go. So that is our discussion of Cascade. And with that, Jesse, where can people find out all the other things that you do on the internet?
Well, I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter and other social media, Jesse Jackson on Facebook, Louisville, Texas. You can hear me talking about every John Hyatt song in alphabetical order on Perfectly Good Podcast. Uh, Lou and Karen have episodes coming up where I've assigned them a song and they're going to join me to talk about it, and I'm looking forward to that. Uh, the Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, Charles Skaggs and I are going through classic Doctor Who episodes. We went through a Big Finish audio episode that featured the second Doctor just recently. And of course, Set Lusting Bruce, where I talk to people from around the world about their love of Bruce Springsteen and other musicians. And I am less than a month from going to see Bruce in Atlanta and Austin.
yay.
See Austin, Atlanta, and meeting Karen in person.
That's right. I can't wait. Um, okay, so you can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. I am at Aliveria on social media, and my blog is alistuff.com. A few good links there on the landing page. It's been updated recently, so there you go.
Awesome. And of course, you can find me on this channel, JKL Media on YouTube, where we are doing The Expanse and waiting for the return of Pluribus and Severance. Over on my personal YouTube channel, Lou's Reviews, I've got episodes of the writers interview podcast that I do, as well as my Stephen King podcast. And then there are our collective reviews of the entire Babylon 5 series, as well as the animated movie. On Twitter and Blue Sky, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma, Sytsma. And with that, we're going to close the airlock until the next episode. Take care now. Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
And
Yay.
scene.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.